Welcome, everybody. My name is Kimberly Turner. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator, and I'm here to introduce Jennifer Lopez. Again, she did have bariatric surgery quite a while ago, and she's going to share her story. You can go ahead and click on the live chat if you'd like to ask her any questions, and you can also actually open up your camera if you want to log in as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'd like to introduce you to Jennifer Lopez.
Hello, everybody. Well, I am super excited to be here today and be your guinea pig. This is our very first live chat, so bear with us if there's any technical difficulties, and hopefully we're able to get your questions answered. But I figured this would be a really good opportunity for you to know a little bit about my journey and the way that bariatric surgery has changed my life completely for the better. That right there is my before picture. I'll bring it up closer to you so you can see. That was me. I don't know about the glare. Is that okay, Kim?
Yeah.
There you go. That was me. So in that picture, I was anywhere between 280 to 300 pounds. It got to a point where, I can't get it up anymore. It got to a point where I didn't get on the scale anymore. My last highest recorded weight was 283 pounds. The morning of surgery, my weight was 265. So I am currently sitting in front of you now at 130 pounds, which here we are, about 7.5 years after my gastric bypass. Let me tell you a little bit about my life before surgery. When I was that girl, I was very, very unhappy. I was very sick. There was something going on with me, so I would pass out. The doctors called it syncopal episodes, where I would just be walking to the kitchen and all of a sudden be on the ground. I went to so many different doctors to try to figure out what was going on, and of course, every single one looked at me and said, "You need to lose weight. That's the only way you're going to get better." Eventually, I got my license taken away because I would pass out behind the wheel. I had 2 young daughters that I could no longer take care of. I think at my lowest low was when I passed out in the shower. And my 2 daughters found me on the floor naked and were slapping me. And I remember coming to, and they're slapping me, and they're both in tears, just devastated on what had happened to mommy. And this was my story. This was my life for a while, for about a year, where I was pretty much no good to anyone because they were always afraid that I was going to pass out. So finally I came across a friend who had already had the weight loss surgery with Dr. Khan. And she told me, let's go to the seminar. So I went, and at the time I didn't really think that maybe it was for me. My family was extremely against it. Being that I was raised in a Catholic family, this was against our religion. It was just too scary. There were too many risks. But it got to the point where I decided, this is what I'm going to do for me in order to give myself a chance to be able to live a healthy life and make some changes, because I wasn't living. I didn't have a quality of life. So I decided I'm going to do it, whether it was with my family's blessing or not. There is this song, it's called Break My Stride, and that was my anthem. I told myself, I'm not going to let anything break my stride. I'm going to work towards this. Oh no, I got to keep on moving. Anyway, that's the way the song goes. But I remember that when I decided I was going to do it, I watched an episode of a TV show called I Lost It, and it had a gentleman on there who had lost the most amount of weight with Richard Simmons than anybody. He was in the 600-700 pounds and lost weight, and he was about, his after I think was about 180. He had said a story about how he went on the Today Show, and that night he went to celebrate that he had lost all this weight, and he celebrated with 1 cheeseburger. And he said that he celebrated with another cheeseburger, and then it ended up being 9 cheeseburgers that he ate that day. And he ended up ballooning up to 1,000 pounds. And that was so devastating for me because I can't imagine how much work it was for him to lose all of this weight and then for it to just come back within a year. He said he was to the point where he was bedridden and at the Brookhaven Hospital in New York. And so that's when I decided, no, I am going to do this and I'm going to make this work for me. So I had my gastric bypass in March. And I started working for Dr. Khan about 3 weeks after that, which has been amazing. I absolutely love what it has done for my life. About a year ago, in September, it'll be that I had my tummy tuck, which I'll give you guys a little instructions on that. But that has been amazing as well. But even if I had to live with the excess skin for the rest of my life, I would not go back. It's really life-changing, and I really didn't understand back then what the phrase quality of life was until I really realized what a real life could be with being healthier. So, any questions so far?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a question from Marilyn R., and she would like to know, even this far out, do you find it easier to sleep?
Absolutely. She says, even as far out, do I find it easier to sleep? Yes, because I remember being 300 pounds, you have a really hard time sleeping and getting out of bed. I was constantly getting up out of bed, and even now, I get out of bed and I don't hurt as much. There was a small time in my post-bariatric life that I was a little bit, I had gotten, oh my gosh, what is that word where you can't sleep?
Sleep apnea?
No,
Insomnia?
no, insomnia. I got insomnia. I did get a prescription for Ambien, but I don't think that had anything to do with my journey with weight loss. I think that was just something that had to do with my thyroid because I was pre-diabetic before surgery, and I do have a thyroid condition, and so there was a point where my thyroid was kind of off, and I had to take Ambien to help me sleep. So, any other questions?
Stacy Hill would like to know how many years out you are since surgery, and also what has been your biggest obstacle to get through since the surgery.
I am 7.5 years post-bariatric surgery. I am 1 year post-tummy tuck. My hardest struggle, I would say, was about a year after I had my gastric bypass. I moved to Texas, and I was living in Texas for about 4 years. While I was in Texas, I started getting really sick with low blood sugars. And I would see a doctor, and the doctor would send me to an endocrinologist. The endocrinologist would send me to a dietitian, and they kept telling me, you need to eat complex carbs. They couldn't understand why I kept having these episodes of low blood sugar. It wasn't until I came to see Dr. Khan for a follow-up visit. I was visiting California, and he told me, you need to go back to the basics. Go back to an all-protein diet. In fact, I think Dr. Chin told me that first, and then Dr. Khan came into the room and said the same thing. They looked at me and said, you had gastric bypass. You need to stay away from sugars. And it was as simple as that. Relearning the basics again and staying away from, complex carbs, knowing that I can eat sugar, but in moderation. Because, yes, I had gastric bypass. I'm not going to eat exactly like the other people, but I can still enjoy it in moderation. And I had to kind of relearn what that looked like for me. And so now, if I enjoy a piece of cake, I can enjoy a small piece of cake, or I know my limits because I know that I'm not going to feel well. And when I was living in Texas, they told me, well, when your blood sugars get that low, you need to eat a piece of candy. But that was a bad cycle that I got into, and I was feeling horrible. I was working in a salon doing hair, and I had to stop doing that for a little while because I was so sick. But I'm glad that now Dr. Khan has steered me to the right way. Any other questions?
Mrs. Padilla would like to know why do we feel like caffeine is bad for the diet? And what is your feelings on caffeine in your personal diet?
Well, I don't want to speak in medical terms because I'm not a medical professional, so I hope that you guys know this. But in my personal life, I I have a minor caffeine addiction. When I was in Texas, I had to go through a 78-hour fast twice because they were trying to see why my blood sugars were getting so low. And during those periods, I was off all caffeine, and it gave me terrible headaches. What I do notice today is that I get dehydrated very much if I drink too much coffee. So I try to limit my coffee intake and try to, drink more water. I notice in my body and in myself, I look better, I feel better when I'm getting my 64 ounces of fluids in. So I hope that answers your question. Does that sound?
So what was your main motivation for having surgery?
Well, my main motivation for having surgery was enjoying life. I was very young. I was in my 20s, and I really felt like there was so much more that life had to offer. And there was so many things that I wanted to do, and I didn't feel like I was good enough to do them. And I became fearful of the world, and I kind of stayed in a bubble. And I'm not saying that having weight loss surgery is the answer to all your problems, but the fact that I can, if I stand on the scale and maybe I'm not happy with my weight, I have my tool that allows me to get back on it. And I think that my greatest fear through these 7.5 years of having surgery is to gain the weight back. It's always been a fear of mine. So I stay on top of it. And if I see that I'm gaining weight, Dr. Khan has given me the knowledge, and the staff has given me the knowledge to know that, okay, I either need to do a 5-day pouch test, I need to get back on to protein shakes or an all-protein diet, but I have this tool, so I'm not alone in it. I have help, and it really helps me stay on track.
Michelle Hudson would like to know, have you ever had any problems with strictures further out from your surgery?
She wants to know about strictures, and I have not. I have not had any problems with strictures.
Do you want to briefly describe what a stricture is?
No, I don't know.
Okay. All right. And
that is when the stomach ends up closing, right?
Yes, when the
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not a medical professional.
Tell them that we'll post up an article on the Facebook.
So Kim says that we will post up. We're going to be posting up an article about strictures. I'm sorry, I'm not too knowledgeable.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
So Terry Mack would like to know, how did you get and stay off of sugar?
It took about 3 months for me to get my blood sugars back to normal. I was tired of feeling crummy. Dumping syndrome for me was not your vomiting or diarrhea. It was, I would feel tired and worn out, and I couldn't concentrate. My mind would kind of be in a fog. And so once Dr. Khan told me that, I went on, I would say, for like a good solid month of nothing but protein. And that really helped just regulate my blood sugars. And then I remember October of 2009 was the last time I had that low blood sugar episode, and I kind of just had to write it out. And that was it. I haven't had that episode since, because I know I'm not going to have sugar the way that I used to.
So what advice would you give a new patient starting the process brand spanking new?
Advice that I would give a patient starting off in this amazing, beautiful journey is, no matter what hurdles comes across of you, don't give up. It is very easy at that point to, hit a wall. Either it's your primary doctor, or it's family members, or, maybe something didn't go your way, a test. And sometimes we give up, but don't give up, because it's worth it. There's this phrase that says, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And that's something I definitely tell anyone who's going through this journey, including my own sister who had surgery in December. It's not easy, especially right after surgery. You go through this, emotional change, and you're not able to eat all of a sudden. The hardest time for me through this entire journey was about 2 weeks after I had the surgery. And I thought to myself, what did I do? Because I couldn't eat anything. And it was difficult. But my goodness, I don't know where I would have been without the staff, because they really helped me through that. And I've got to see that when I stand on that scale and you see the weight just melting off, it's so worth it. It's hard work. It is. And I hate hearing people say, oh, you took the easy way out. Because no, it's not the easy way, but it is the effective way. You know that if you stay on your protein, it's going to come off because you have a tool that allows for it to work that way. You're not alone.
Speedy167 Bug says, I'm getting back to drinking all protein. I'm going to start eating meat the next week. My question is, do I have 3 meals and 2 protein shakes? This is Lamika Goodrich on my husband's computer.
Oh, hi, Lamika. So, with a protein diet, the really good thing about it is that if you get hungry, you don't have to go hungry. From my personal experience with the 5-day pouch test or being on a liquid protein diet is if I get hungry in between meals, I might go ahead and have another protein shake, which is okay. This is per Kim, our nurse. Another thing, string cheese is something that you have to be very careful about because it can have a lot of calories. But if you're hungry, there is that. You can have a little bit of low-fat string cheese. Something that helps a lot during that process is sugar-free Jell-O was my best friend, or sugar-free popsicles, because even though it is just a liquid, and it does count towards your liquids, but it does help with hunger. So, getting a big cup of water, that helps too. Hope that answers the question.
I think it does. Go ahead and let them know that we're about to close up, so if they have any questions.
We're about to close up. So anybody else have any questions, please feel free to ask now. And if there is, after today, if you don't want me to go ahead and talk about anything and you want to ask me a question one-on-one, feel free to call the office. I am working in Dr. Khan's office now on Tuesdays and Thursdays only, so you can call and, we can chat. And I am a complete open book. I don't feel like, I'm going to withhold any information from you because I have so much passion for what the surgery has done to my life, and I want to touch lives and I want to help you achieve your goals. Real quick, I did want to talk a little bit about my tummy tuck because I know that after having weight loss surgery, it's a concern. As soon as you have a weight loss surgery or you see the hanging skin, I recommend that you start building rapport with your primary doctor. Go in and see them, even if it's every month, so that way they can start documenting on their notes that you're having issues with rashes. After they do that for a period of 3 to 6 months, they might send you to a dermatologist, prescribe some creams. Do all of that, because at the end of it, with all of that documentation, it's going to show proof that you needing a tummy tuck is medically necessary. For me, I had a lot of hanging skin, so I had rashes, and working out was very difficult for me. And sometimes, it's not going to cover for everyone, but it's worth a shot. It's definitely worth a shot. Dr. Khan did mine, and it's beautiful. He did a great job. Not all insurances are covering for him to do it now, but if yours is, or if you have a question whether it is it or it doesn't, feel free to call the office and we can help you through that process.
Michelle Hudson said that I lost over 300 pounds with my surgery. The hardest thing for me, more than the surgery itself, is trying to learn how to be normal, or at least the view of what is considered normal. Do you have a hard time learning to be normal?
Michelle, congratulations on your weight loss. I have to admit that that's great. Yes, I know that I'm not normal, but I know that I'm in a community of people who are different. If you go out to a restaurant and you pull out your card that says I had weight loss surgery, so no, I'm not going to purchase eating at a buffet because I'm not going to eat that much. People have a hard time. But what I've seen through the years is that more and more people are getting familiarized with the weight loss surgeries. So it's not as unusual as it was 7 years ago when I first had surgery. So just remember that you are part of a community. And I highly recommend attending our support groups if you can. Our Facebook has become an amazing community for people to reach out to each other, become friends. You're not alone in this. You belong to this really great community of people who've decided to, you know what, make a change in their life, which is great. It's absolutely beautiful.
Do you have any parting thoughts?
Parting thoughts. Like I said, I am an open book. I love sharing my journey with people because I am so passionate on the work and what we do and, changing our life. If there's anybody out there who is struggling with, achieving their weight loss goals, just know that you're not alone in this, and that I love helping people. And if we can help each other through whatever we're going through with our weight loss journey, it makes it easier. So, if you have questions for me, you can log on to the Facebook and send me questions, call the office. Like I said, I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Leave a message for me and I will get back to you. But just remember that wherever you are in this journey, you're not alone, and I would love to help you through it. So that's it for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Just want to let you know that next Thursday at 11 a.m. we're going to have Paul, our resident dietitian. He's going to come in and talk to you about some dietary things. And so if you have any questions for that, get those ready. Post them up on Facebook. And we're just really excited. So thank you guys for being part of our first broadcast. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye.